Hello there, everyone, and welcome to the Business Blueprint Summit. Trust that you can all hear me loud and clear. If you can, give me a big thumbs up. Yes? Hey! And hello to my good friend, Tina Tower, that's out there looking good. We'll see you in just a moment. And for everyone else that is tuning in, I'd love for you to turn your camera on. It's always so much more interesting if we could see all of your beautiful faces as opposed to looking at a little black box. So go ahead and turn your camera on. That would be fabulous. All right. So I want to say a big welcome. I know that there were many of you that joined us for our morning session. So if you are back for part 2, then well done. And I know that there's some people that are just joining us for the first time. So welcome to you guys as well. So this is the Wealth Building Summit. What we're doing is 5 days of awesome training to help you to build a wildly successful business. Now, we are broadcasting every day for 2 one-hour sessions, Monday through Friday. So we kick things off earlier on today where I did a whole hour on marketing, and we have more coming up for the rest of the week. So tomorrow we're going to do a whole hour on technology, and then on systems, and then on people, and then on money as well. So some really important topics. So that's going to be happening at 10 a.m. Sydney time every morning. And then in the afternoon, we're going to be start interviews with some highly successful business owners, all of which have been through the Business Blueprint program and have gone on to do amazing things. Now, if you want to see a full list of the agenda of what is happening when, you can head to the website, businessblueprint.com/summit. Now, if you're watching this on Zoom right now, then that's awesome. That's exactly where you need to be. But there's also some people watching this via other social media platforms like Facebook, and LinkedIn, and it's fine if you want to stay there. However, it's more fun in the Zoom room. So what you can do is you can jump in here by following a link, and that is businessblueprint.com/Zoom. If you go to businessblueprint.com/Zoom, you'll be able to enter the Zoom room, which is where everyone else is right now, and where you can participate in the chat conversation. All right. So having said that, I just want to tell you about the amazing interviews that we have coming up for you over the next 5 days. In a few moments' time, we're going to be joined by Tina Tower. So I'll save the introduction to a little bit later. But joining me tomorrow is Brian, and Brian has built an amazing business. Last 3.5, 4 years, he's gone from 0 to $16 million in online sales. He made his first $1 million in 7 months, and he's made his first $2 million in under 12 months from a standing start. So he's going to share with you the story about how he built his business. I'm going to be doing an interview just like this tomorrow. So make sure you're here, same time, same place, for even more great value. And then we have a lady called Angela who'll be sharing her amazing story as well. And then we have Colin Frager who'll be joining us as well. And also Tegan. Just you need to know that every single interview is going to be sensational. There'll be lots of great content that they'll be sharing. So just all you need to do is just show up at all of the scheduled times. Hopefully they're already locked and loaded into your diary by now. If not, go to businessblueprint.com/summit, register, and on the next screen, there's a link where you can click a button and all of the dates get added into your calendar. All right, but right now, it is my pleasure to welcome our special guest for today's interview. Her name is Tina Tower. She's someone that I've known now for 17, I think, nearly maybe 18 years, so quite a long time. But she's going to be sharing with you her story, and I'll be asking a whole bunch of questions. And if we get some time, we might even get you to ask a question as well. So if you have a question that pops into your mind, then you can type it into the chat. Now, I want to know from you right now, have you heard of Tina Tower before? If you have, type in yes. If you haven't, just type in no. This is going to be a new experience for you. She is awesome. So just go ahead and type it in. We've got some yeses, so some fans out there, I am sure. And we've got some no's, which is great. So we're going to be introducing Tina to a whole bunch of new people today. So Tina, I know you're out there. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's give Tina a big round of applause, everybody. Yay. Hello.
And the crowd goes wild.
Yay. Awesome. I love the background, all of the books there.
Thank you. I did notice Melissa just said, yes, I know Tina as the Rainbow Lady, so I haven't let her down.
Yes, always full of color, which is why we've tried to brighten up the background here for you. So Tina, we're going to talk about a whole bunch of different things, but let's just get started at the beginning. So when did you start your first business? Because I understand that you were quite young. How old exactly?
I was not long after that photo in your background was taken, probably. When I saw that come out, I'm like, oh, that's one from the archives. Everyone's going to get a shock when I turn up and I look so much older. That one's like circa 8 years ago. That's how long we've been working with each other. But I
just got one of my team to find me an awesome photo of Tina, and I think they like the bright color. So
I do too. I wish I still felt like that. But I was 20 when I started my first business, so 18 years ago.
Wow, awesome. So tell us, what was this first business that you started, and did you grow up in a family of entrepreneurs? Was it kind of expected of you to go into business, or were you kind of like the black sheep of the family?
No, well, I'm definitely the black sheep of my family. But no, my dad is a plumber, so self-employed. So it wasn't odd to have your own business. But like a lot of people, I started my business out of necessity and I didn't have a grand plan when I started. It took me a couple of years to really figure out, planning and all of that sort of thing. But I started purely because I was full-time at uni and was trying to pay my way through and was having a really hard time working 3 jobs at once. And then I thought that I would be able to make more money in a business. How naive we are when we start business, right? But I started that, and luckily by the time I finished uni, I was so sold, and I love the game of business that I never went in to become a teacher. I've been running my business ever since.
So what do you love about business? Why has it kind of got you hook, line, and sinker?
Everything, right? I think everyone would feel the same. I mean, I do think that to be entrepreneurs, we do have to be a special blend of crazy. Like when you look at the downsides of it with the risk and the responsibility and the uncertainty, it takes a special person to go, I'm going to embrace that. Like, I actually love that. For me, the idea of working my butt off and every year like getting a 3% pay rise, no matter how good I did or something, makes me just want to stick skewers in my eyeballs. Like, I can't even imagine that sort of consistency and safety. To me, that just feels very very boring. Whereas in business, we have the ability to have an idea out of nowhere, be walking on the street or driving our car and going, wouldn't it be cool if we did this? And then can go and make that thing become real. It's just like, it's the most amazing thing. There's no end to the ability of reach that we have and what we can create. And I just love that every year is so different and it's all of our own design.
So tell me about the first business. What was the first business that you started? And I understand it kind of evolved over a couple of years. So what did it begin like? And then sort of what did it become?
Yeah, so different. I love the evolution of business. I mean, when I started, I wanted to just be a tutor. So my idea was to tutor children. I was walking down the street one day and I saw on a telegraph pole a sign that said tutoring $40 an hour. And I was getting, $14 an hour delivering pizzas. So I was like, okay, this is a great step up in the world. I'm going to go in and do that. And then I was looking at locations for where I could set up this tutoring business. And I found this amazing location on the main street in Cronulla in the Sutherland Shire that was just so perfect. I was like, okay, I'm going to take that, except it was 100 square meters. So way too big for just tutoring. But when you see something and you're like, I see the vision, I see what's possible, like I'm going to do this. And so I had $8,000 was what I'd saved up to either buy a property or start my business. And I thought, plenty of money to start a business, but I needed to make the rent for it. So I thought I'll start an educational toy store at the same time. And so I committed to all of that. I mean, the $8,000 was gone just when I gyp rocked the walls. So I started in a massive debt. And so I worked 7 days a week. I went to uni 5 days a week, really worked my butt off for the first few years in running the tutoring center, the toy store, and birthday parties every weekend. And we ran that for 4 years before I then started licensing and then converted into franchising.
All right, and we're going to explore all of that. So, you got in, the business kind of like morphed and evolved. And why is that kind of important? Because I think a lot of people get locked into this is what I do, but not realizing the fact that your business and it should evolve and change over time. And where you kind of start is maybe not where you're going to end up. And being comfortable with change. Tell us a bit about that for you.
Yeah, well, I think that's true for every business owner. I think where people don't grow is where they resist that change and that evolution, because we don't know what we don't know. And at the start, it didn't matter how my planning went until you actually get some experience and get into different things. You just don't know. And so I've always been looking to do better. Like for me, I've never really I go for community over competition, and I've never really had I'm in competition with this other person. For me, it's always been every month I want to do better than before. That's been my very simple thing. So I'll take on the learnings and go, okay, how can I implement them and do better than I did before? I've never stuck in kind of I'm never stuck in concrete with it. And so for some people, I know as I've morphed and changed my business, a lot of people going, wow, that's really like, you just kind of threw out the whole thing and changed it and went on to the next one. But my life has changed. So it changed really early when I had babies, and the business that got me to there was not going to work as a mum of young kids. So I had to make those changes. And then I didn't want to be flying so much, so I had to change it again. And so all different chapters of my life rather than kind of go, this is what I've built, I've got to just stick it out. I've gone, you know what, this is no longer serving me properly. So how can I adapt what I've done for the next chapter of life and be open to change?
Yeah, if we're capturing all of the goodness from what sort of Tina is saying, you should be and writing it down. I think one of the biggest kind of takeaways so far is just to make sure that you don't get locked into this is what I do and this is only what I do. Your business is going to constantly evolve and change and morph into different things, especially the longer you're in business. I've probably had 7 or 8 different evolutions over the last 20 years in terms of my own business and my own journey, and just being open-minded to what could become in the future. So thanks for sharing that. Now, your obviously business has succeeded for many, many years. Many businesses we know kind of like fail within that first sort of 2 to 5 year period. What did you do to succeed when so many other businesses failed? If you had to sort of like just share with us the top, say, 3 things that you did in those first few years to make sure that you pushed through and you were able to grow, what would those 2 or 3 things be?
I think there's probably one in that I didn't stop.
Yep.
So there was many points throughout my journey that, you know, I think most sane people probably would have just gone, I'm a bit of a failure. This probably isn't for me. And I don't know what's wrong with me. I took it as, okay, that idea failed, or that strategy failed, or this didn't actually work for me. So I've got to learn a little bit more and figure out what I can actually do differently and try again the next time.
Yep.
So I didn't give up is what I think is probably the number one reason that I still am in business today, is I let time do its thing. And now 18 years in, I can look at my last few years and go, oh my gosh, like smashed it, totally smashed it, like so amazing. But had you looked at my first 7 years, the ups and downs of that, I looked like a success, then a failure, then a success, then a failure. Like it was very, very up and down and rocky. And had I gone, you know what, this is just too hard, of course it would have been a failure. But the alternative to me wasn't like, the idea of getting a job as an alternative was like, you know, anything is going to beat that. So I just have to find what's going to work and how to adapt and just kind of stick it, because there's times in business that are so easy and they flow and everything's in alignment and everything works, and they're the fun times. But every, 2 or 3 years, you'll get into growing pains and a different thing where you're like, oh my gosh, everything's blowing up, everything's just falling like dominoes, and you're at that next level and you've got to figure out how to master that next set of problems.
So good to see people starting to put into the chat all the things that they're learning. That's great. So yeah, let's keep that going. When you hear one of those little gems or nuggets, just place it into the chat. It'd be a good summary of all of the key ideas from this interview. But definitely persistence, resilience, that's one of the most important ingredients to business success. So thank you for sharing that. All right, so you did a whole bunch of things that didn't work, but what were a few things that you did that worked? Like, how did you actually then get that breakthrough that would take you to the next level?
Yeah, education was probably one of my biggest points. I know, when I decided to start taking business seriously and not just having like a normal average wage sort of a business, because I don't know what the current statistics are, but they used to be the majority of small business owners in Australia earned around $60,000 to $80,000 a year, which gives you a nice amount of flexibility and a good income, but not going big. And then when I decided, I want to go bigger than that, like I want to create something bigger than myself and bigger than self-employment, I want to make a company, then for me it was going, okay, how can I learn to do that? And that is where Business Blueprint came into it for me. So I started licensing in 2008, and then I started franchising in 2011, and that was when I joined Blueprint, and I was part of the program for the next 3 years, going, how can I learn from everyone, including you and all of the amazing people in that network that were doing the things that I wanted to do, and then go and implement that into it and take my business a lot more seriously for the future as well. So that was probably one of the biggest things. The second was team. I always saw team as an expense and going, gosh, that's money out of my pocket into their pocket. Like I could just work harder and keep that money for myself. And I really flipped that into team as an investment, not an expense. And who do I need to enable me to get to that next level? And so that helped me to grow as well. Because I mean, you can do, thing is, with systems, automation, you can do a bloody lot on your own, but it'll only get you so far. So I needed people. And the other thing that I learned to do was be very, 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 very strict on money. So money was very tight in my early days. When I decided to start franchising, it cost about $200,000. We had to move out of our house. I was selling things on eBay and Facebook Marketplace to do the worst was when I had to make payroll and I went and got a credit card and put it through our own merchant facility so that I could pay wages. Like it was tough there for a long time. And so every cent had to be really watched and monitored so that I could get through, because I know a lot of people don't have access to capital. I certainly didn't have access to capital. I tried to get people to invest in my business. I tried to go to banks and get business loans. No one was going to give a 26-year-old mum with a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old hundreds of thousands of dollars based on, I'm sure my business will work. Trust me. So I just had to kind of take the long way, which was really frustrating, knowing it was going to pay off. And I could have done it so much quicker had I had some cash, but I just didn't have it available. So I had to really control every dollar to go, how can I turn that dollar into 10? Every time I put it in there, how can I 10x that return so that I can get where I want to be? And just know that you have to do what you have to do until you can do what you want to do. And sometimes that totally sucks, but it gets you to where you want to go.
So 3 great points there around investing in education, around team is an investment, and also getting really good at managing money. And we may circle back to some of those points and go a little bit deeper in a moment. But I want to connect the dots for people with regards to how the business sort of started. And then you mentioned licensing and franchising. Tell us a bit about why you chose to, first of all, license and then franchise as your model for expansion, because people can expand in different ways. And I know franchising will suit some people, but not all people. So just talk to us about why you chose the path that you did and how it helped you to expand.
Yeah, well, licensing for me was because people were asking for it. So I had tutors that were in other parts of the country going, hey, I see what you're doing with your tutoring center. Can I get that curriculum and put it into my own tutoring center? And so I was like on Google going, how to do licensing, how to license a program, and how to just looked everything up. And the thing is, what's beautiful about this world we live in, there's a stranger on the internet that has pretty much prepared content for whatever you want to know on Google and YouTube. And so I started licensing and it went off. So we had a lot of different locations, but what I found then through licensing was we had no brand control. So they bought my curriculum, but then they could put it in their business and do whatever they wanted with it. And I had no say around that. So I was kind of looking for how to solve that problem. And then I was at another business event, which was like a 4-day business and sales mastery program thing that Kerwin Ray was running. And he mentioned, or someone on his stage mentioned franchising. And I didn't know much about franchising. And I looked it up and went, okay, franchising. Yeah, this seems like a good idea. How hard can it be? Anyway, so I started journeying into franchising, and I looked up every single Australian franchisor that I could find and asked them all if they'd chat to me. Unsurprisingly, in this world, they all said yes. I got on the phone with Janine Alice from Boost Juice and Michael Sherlock from Brumby's Bakeries, people that are running these multi-million dollar companies. And they just sat there and answered every single question that I had about franchising. And so I thought that would be a good kind of avenue to go down so that we could do expansion, and then also not have to work myself to the bone as much, was what I thought at the time, because I thought franchising at that point would be way easier than it actually was, which is probably the story for us in most business models. But in theory, it seemed like a piece of cake. So I went in, it took me 17 lawyer meetings to get one that would work with me, because right now I'm nearly 40 and I still look like, hi, like, like I'm a happy rainbow lady. When I was 26, that was like this on steroids. And so I would walk into a lawyer's office and be like, I want to franchise my company. Like, this is going to go so great. And we're going to go for worldwide domination. And they would just say no, because it's a big outlay of time and money for lawyers. And no one wanted to work with me. So it took me a while to find someone. And then, we started the franchise journey.
Awesome. So what happened next? So you franchised and eventually we know that you sold the business, and we'd love to learn a bit more about that. But before we get there, what kind of like happened with the franchise model? Did it work? And then what kind of led up towards eventually selling that business, so we can then talk about the next business?
Yeah. So franchising, I think I've done a lot of different businesses. I've done retail and services and licensing and franchising and online and product and, all the different business models. And franchising, I think, is the hardest business model that is around. It's really, really mentally challenging. And I remember Andrew Simmons, who owns Vision Personal Training, I was tutoring his kids at the time. So he gave me a lot of free mentoring. And I remember talking to him one day and going, okay, we're about to hit go. I'm going to do this thing. And he sat me down and he's like standing up over his desk. He's like, Tina, don't do it. I'm like, what do you mean? This is going to be amazing. He's like, to be a successful franchisor, you need to have a heart of gold and a spine of steel. My friend, you do not have a spine of steel. And so he gave me those warnings at the start. And franchising is one of the most litigious business models in Australia. Like it's very rare to get out of franchising without actually being sued. There's 20-something% of franchise systems get sued every single year. So it's very high because there's no other way to exit the franchise. So if someone wants out, like getting a divorce, that's the way to do it. And so I was in there, and then up until about 20 locations, it was fabulous, really, really fabulous, because I could have really personal relationships with everyone. I could micromanage to a certain extent and ensure everyone's success and give them a lot of hand holding, because a lot of our franchisees, this was their first business. So they had no business knowledge. And so it was a big, steep learning curve to get in there. But once we got past 20, that's when it started getting hard. So I started getting more people in, and then people started saying she's gotten too big for her boots. She's not taking as much care of us anymore. She's getting her staff to look after us instead of her. She doesn't care. She just wants to collect the money, like all of that sort of stuff. So it's very hard to scale. So when we got to 35 locations, I was on the phone pretty much 12 hours a day, every single day. If someone's enrollments dropped off, they would blame me and the system and say, what are you going to do about it? What marketing are you going to do for us? Like, it was just the level of responsibility that people put on me for their business. And not everyone. This was probably about 20% of our franchisees. But as we know with Pareto's principle, 20% are bloody loud. And so they were just like sucking the joy out of my life. And so I decided I wanted to get to 100 locations and then to go international. And when I looked at that, at the reality of 100 locations, I thought, oh my gosh, that does not look like a fun life. That looks like hell. So that's when I decided to sell. So in 2016, I was on holidays in Nicaragua with my family, and I did a photo. My husband and I got remarried because every 10 years we get remarried again. And so we were there. I was drinking a cocktail on the beach, and one of my franchisees commented on the photo, "Nice to see you enjoying the cocktail that I've paid for." And I'm just like, oh my gosh, not my hard work, not like, yeah, okay. And that for me was like, when it's usually one tiny, tiny little thing that pushes you over the edge, that was over the edge for me. So I was like, okay, I'm out. So I put the business on the market, and within 5 weeks, we had 3 offers. So that was really good. And I'm really glad that I always built the business to sell. So I always had really good accounting, really clear books, really well thought out and programmed systems. So it was actually very attractive to be able to sell that business. So yeah, accepted an offer. And then by June, we were out, and then on a 2-year earnout, which is a whole other story, Dale. You're getting all my drama.
This is awesome. But I love that point as well about that you had built the business in such a way that it was able to be sold. Because I know for a lot of people, it's a 2 to 3 year process to sell their business because they've done none of the stuff that you've done. So yeah, that's really, really cool. So
and
eventually,
like in all honesty, like I've got you and Blueprint to thank for that. I remember like right when I started Blueprint, you had, you showed Google Sites when it was in its like really early iterations of how to work and going, document your systems so it can be sold. And for me, like right at the beginning there, I was like, you know what, I know one day I'm going to sell this business and it's going to be easier to like start as I mean to continue. So I definitely have you to thank for that.
yeah, well, you mentioned Business Blueprint, so let's just quickly chat about that now. So, what inspired you to join the Business Blueprint program?
I needed to learn was the first part. I'd already known you from Secrets Exposed. So for those who don't know, I was in, actually you can see them in my background. These are all Dale's Secrets Exposed books. Yeah. So I was in Secrets of Small Business Owners Exposed like in 2006. So I knew you since then and was watching Blueprint. I think you'd only started the year before, right? In 2010.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't join straight away because I had a 1-year-old and a 2-year-old at the time. And then 2011, when I decided to franchise, I was like, I need to learn more. And I still stand by, like I say to people all the time, I've been part of Business Blueprint. I was part of it for 3 years as a student and have been lucky enough to go back many, many times as a speaker and on roundtables and get exposed to your education. And I really think that Business Blueprint is the greatest general business education in the world. There's nothing like it. I have done so many courses and programs and coaching and conferences and all the things. I'm a bit of an education junkie, and I'll be honest and go, in the first year, so in that 2011, my personal income was $32,000 and I paid half of it to Business Blueprint. And so for me, that was a massive investment, but I knew that I was never going to get past that if I didn't learn to do different things. And every speaker blew my mind. Like there's still speakers now I remember seeing and remember how I felt when they just totally shattered beliefs that I had held for a long time. And for me, it was both the technical, because I needed to know the technical, like things like setting up systems and understanding profit and all of the different business stuff, but also going, business is a mind game. Until I believe it's possible for me, then it's never going to happen. And so, yeah, it was completely game changing.
And if you had to think of the 2 or 3 biggest things that you got out of the program and that you implemented into your business, what would those couple of things be?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing was acting like a grown-up business. Was taking everything really seriously and going, like, it's not 2 or 3 things. It was actually all the things, like going, all right, how can we now get this and go, what are the reporting that we're doing? Like even the 90-day planning that you do in going, how can I look at all my key metrics? What even are the key metrics and the key levers in our business? Like how many people do we need on our email list? How many calls do I have to be making? How many website statistics do we need to do? Like reviewing all of that content. And then also going, how do we systemize? What team do I need in place? What marketing do I need to be doing? Like it wasn't a couple of things. It was looking at the whole business ecosystem and going, okay, if you're going to take this seriously, here are all the different things, because I didn't even know about them.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because there's lots of different programs that are out there, but most of them just do kind of like one thing. Well, what's special about the Business Blueprint program is we try to basically cover all the things that you need to know to be successful in one place. So we cover marketing and sales and building a team and systems and outsourcing and social media and websites and CRM systems and technology and all of the things that you need. So if you are watching this, Tina, what would you recommend? If someone was thinking about the program, what would your advice be to them?
I think it's impossible not to get a return on it. So for me, of course, you only get out what you put in, like you have to actually implement. And I do know that I was part of the program with a few people that would get all hyped up and all inspired and all like, all fired up, no place to go. But for me, I was very much, and it's why I like the 90-day planning, is going, one, join like crazy not to, but second, then when you join, you have to implement those things. So it's not, I think sometimes people think with personal development, like I'll just go and then it'll all happen by magic. But really for me, it was every single conference I would write down those 5 things that I knew I had to implement to get those results. And every single conference, I prided myself on being the person at the table that was like, who's achieved the most? I was like, me. Yes, always like to be an overachiever. But for me, it was like, if I'm going to pay the money and the time, because the time commitment's quite big as well, in going, I've got to get a result out of that. Yeah. And so the biggest thing would be 1, to join, and 2, to then take everything that's there and actually implement it, because it's like nothing else I've ever seen.
Beautiful. So we're going to talk a bit about what happened sort of next and how you sold the business and what did you do after you sold the business in just a moment. But if you're sitting there going, I really would love to take my business to the next level. I'd like to access all the education that I need in order to grow, then we'd encourage you to go to this link right now, businessblueprint.com/apply. You can fill out a quick form there, and then we're going to have a chat and learn more about you and your goals, see if we're a fit for each other, and then we can talk about the program and how it works. And we've got something for everyone, which is great. About 20% of our clients are startup entrepreneurs, people that are getting their business off the ground, and are established business owners. And we've got everything from businesses doing a few $100,000 in revenue right up to companies doing, one of our companies is doing more than $100 million in revenue, and we have everything else in between. So it really doesn't matter where you are right now. It's really about, do you want to go to the next level, and do you want to build a business that one day can be like Tina, sold for millions of dollars? If that's you, then I really would encourage you to apply and be part of this special intake that we're doing right now. I won't go through this all right now, but we're going to give you massive amounts of bonuses if you join during this window. I'll tell you about them tomorrow, but trust me, you're going to want to be part of what we're doing right now, because some of the stuff will never be repeated. So make sure you go to that link right now and take action. All right, so Tina, you were able to sell your business fairly quickly, which was amazing. And I know you can't mention the actual figure, but it was in the millions of dollars. But I'm keen to know what happened next. What did you do with the money? And talk to us about what that moment was like to sell your business, and then what happened next.
Yeah, the moment was weird. Is what I'll say about the moment. Like it's when you get a dream come true, but it's very, very different to what you imagine. So I had gone from very, very full on and being defined by my business as well, which I'm sure a lot of people identify themselves as their business. And I had been in tutoring centers since I was 20. So I grew up that was who I was. And on the last day, I had to hand in my laptop and my phone with the phone number I'd had since I got a phone when I was 18. And so I had to hand all of it over, my whole desk contents, everything. They cleaned it all out. And I was just left sitting there going, now what do I do? Who even am I without this business? And of course, all my self-worth came from business achievement. And so, it doesn't take a psychologist to figure out that I was having a bit of an existential crisis in going, am I even worthy of anything? What do I even do with my life? How is this? I spiraled pretty quickly, trying to figure out what I was going to do with that next chapter. And did I want to do anything? I entertained the idea for a while. Maybe I do just want to hang out with my kids and be a stay-at-home mom. That lasted all of 5 minutes. I mean, my kids are so awesome, but all day, every day, and doing laundry, at the moment, I don't have to do laundry because I work. So I need an excuse to not do laundry. Anyway, I did that. And then I decided I was going to start a few businesses to figure out, because when you get into the stage of business where you do so much that you have to do, I was at the stage where I'd actually forgotten what brought me joy, what parts I really loved, because there were so many parts that I did because I had to do them that you learn to love them. And I kind of was like, well, what am I best at naturally? What brings me the most joy? I didn't know. So I started 6 different businesses across 6 months. to try and figure out what to do. The craziest one was I was reading my kids a series of books one night, and I was like, oh my God, this would be an amazing movie. And Kai, my eldest son, said, oh my God, it so would. It's like Maleficent. And I'm like, yes, how cool would it be? And then because I had no business and had nothing to do with my brain, they went to bed and I was there Googling like how to make a feature film out of books. And then I rang the author and got a meeting with her and her lawyer, ended up buying the film rights to this book series, and flew over to LA and had meetings with Paramount and Netflix to try and make a movie. Anyway, unsurprisingly, it didn't work. It didn't turn out. You really have to know what you're talking about and be in the industry for a while. But I did all of that. And then I decided I was going too hard, too fast, trying to define myself. And really what I needed more than anything was a break. And so we ran away. We sold our house, cars, furniture, everything. And we traveled around the world for a year.
Awesome. So I know you went to heaps and heaps of places. I remember seeing all of the photos, but just very quickly, because I know it's a dream for a lot of people to travel the world with their kids. What did it do for you and your family?
Oh my gosh. It was incredible. We went to 28 countries over a year. And we got back a few months before the pandemic hit. So I've never been more grateful for anything in my life. I do think that it was the best year of my life, and I kind of peaked really soon and everything's downhill from there, because I can't imagine how anything could ever be better. And I mean, you gave me one of the biggest gifts there. I saw Dale, we'd been going for about 3 months, I think 4 months by that stage. And I met up with Dale in London because we were nearby in Croatia. So I thought I'll fly over and say hello. And I was like, I really need the break. And I'd already been away for a few months and I didn't feel like I was really rejuvenated like I thought I would. And he's like, get off social media. I'm like, really? Off social media? Anyway, I did. And I did the next 90 days without sharing anything. And I mean, for me as a content creator, I have never had such good content in all of my life. And I shared nothing. I mean, it was just crazy. But I know that like 2 days after I did that, I was sitting on the front. We hired a yacht to sail around Croatia. And I was sitting there. And my sons were both sitting in between my legs, and we were there as the sun was setting. And then dolphins started jumping at the front of the boat. I mean, you can't dream this idyllic situation. And normally I would jump up and photograph that or film a little bit of it for social media. And I sat there hugging them and just started crying, going, this is the best thing ever. And so, yeah, it was filled with the most amazing experiences, which woke me up and made me go, all right, I really want to do something exciting with the next chapter of my life. Yeah. So taking a break was the best thing ever.
So good. Love that. Love that. Okay. We're going to just go through a few more very quick things. But just growing your franchise to up to 30, you had franchises. Just
33.
Quickly, what a lot of people will be going, how did you do that? What were kind of like couple of tips for, growing and marketing that business, especially with the franchises?
Yeah, I had to learn to sell, was probably the most difficult part. And I had to learn to be okay with rejection, which I know for a lot of people is not natural. For me, it wasn't natural. Like I cried so many times with going, why don't they like me? But it actually had nothing to do with me most of the time. So I figured out like all the metrics in my business, and this is what Blueprint did for me as well. And not only the system part of it, but also the community in Blueprint. Like when I was going through all of this, it was so handy to be able to have a network of people to tap into that could say, oh yeah, of course you're going through that. Like this is what I did in my business as well. So the wealth of collective knowledge is insanely awesome. But I figured out that I needed 57 people to say no on calls before I got one yes. And so for me, it just then was like, all right, let's go. I've got 58 more that I need to do to get the next one started. And so that was a big thing in building the franchise, was just being relentless about numbers and selling and just doing a really good job and making sure none of the balls were kind of dropped as we grew, because we grew very, very rapidly. We grew to 33 locations in 4 years, which is a lot. But it was all because of the systems and great staff and all of that sort of thing. So I think probably the most difficult part that I had to learn was the sales skills, because it didn't come naturally to me to sell. Like selling still felt icky. Like, I don't want to ask someone to buy my stuff. Like, who am I to sell these super qualified teachers my whole program and business model? Like, I'm in my 20s. Like, what even is this? And so to learn to step into that and to know the value of that was probably one of the biggest things to feel inspired for it.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, learning to sell, super important. We've got some amazing training around sales from about 6 or 7 different experts in the field, all part of the Business Blueprint program, including myself as well. So if you want to learn to sell, then again, it's all part of the one program. And tell us a little bit about the marketing side of things to create that kind of awareness. I know that you've done a really great job of getting your profile out there in the media, and also was the Young Telstra Businesswoman of the Year, which is awesome. Tell us about how you were able to create the awareness factor to then lead to that kind of like sales process.
Also all learned at Blueprint. Oh my gosh, I feel like a nonstop infomercial, but let me tell you, none of this Dale has asked me to say, and none of it is bullshit. It's all, I would not have had the business that I had if not for it. So I owe Dale a lot for being able to do that. But building profile was something that I didn't know you needed. And for me, I remember at one of the Blueprint conferences, I think it was you that said, like, you can either build your business through money or profile. And I was like, okay, well, I don't have money. I can't go and buy ads, and I can't get billboards, and I can't buy advertising space in newspapers and all of that sort of thing. So the way that I could do it was with personal profile. And luckily, marketing is my favorite thing about business. I love marketing. I love everything about it. And building personal brand and profile has catapulted my business insanely. I mean, the business that I run now, we got to $1 million without spending a cent on advertising, which just blows my mind. And it's all because of personal profile and marketing. So, you know, in Blueprint, we learned how to get credibility logos, like how to get into third-party media, how to go and put ourselves in for awards, which, you know, of course I was in the stage where I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm not going to win an award. What makes me above anybody else? You know, all of that stuff that's very unhelpful. But in 2014, I won the Telstra Australian Young Businesswoman of the Year. And while people will say to me, I don't want to go in awards, you know, is that just for my ego and vanity? We sold 9 franchises the month after I won that award because people saw it and then went, okay, well, she's award winning, so she must know what she's talking about. So it just opens all these doors. So a lot of marketing works in conjunction with each other and just like grows and grows, which is beautiful.
Beautiful. Awesome. And tell us about the business that you have now, and how you grew that business to $1 million without spending any money on marketing. I'm sure a lot of people would love to know about that story as well. So just give us a quick rundown.
Yeah, my business is a beautiful business now. I think anything seems like a piece of cake after franchising. But it's one of those things that now I think so many other things provided me with all the training that I needed to nail what I'm doing now. And without the experience of all of that, I wouldn't be able to do what I do now. So I work in a very niche area right now is I help women that use Kajabi to package their expertise into online programs and memberships and build that business. So it's very, very niche. But if you're a woman in Kajabi building online courses, there's like nothing better in the world. So I like being in my lane and knowing that I can be best in that lane. And so I started that in 2018 and it's grown massively. And, you know, seeing all of the different results that clients have and the impact it makes and how wide it goes. And it's just like a win-win situation for everyone. So it's a really beautiful business model online. Like when you're used to doing service-based where you're like, okay, I do this for you for this many hours and then this is how you get paid. The scalability and the leverage of online programs is just like, mind-blowing to me still. Yeah.
Very cool. And we've talked about education. We've talked a little bit about our team. I'd love to touch on quickly managing money, because I know there's a lot of people, like when you talk about finance, they go, la, 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 la. It's like, you know, they have this thing, I'm not good with numbers, or that's like, you know, not my thing. Why is it so important that business owners like learn how to manage and understand their finances?
Yeah. Well, I mean, no one wants to be broke, right? I mean, one of my most hated sayings is money doesn't buy happiness. And people challenge me on it all the time, because I think if you say money doesn't buy happiness, you've never been truly broke. And for me, not being able to pay my bills, not being able to buy mints in a supermarket. I still remember when Kai came home from daycare when he was 4 and he was like, where are my trains? And that day I'd sold all of his Thomas the Tank Engine collection on Facebook so that we had enough money to pay the rent. And that made me sad. And now I have lots of money and that makes me happy, because if he wants something, I can buy that for him. And I'm happy about that. And so the only way that changed was to learn about it and go, okay, how can I leverage the dollars that I have? Because I really believe there's truth to, it's not how much you make, it's what you do with it. Because I know a lot of people that make a lot more money than I have, and have no money left. Like they can't afford to do anything. And they're like, how are you affording to take all these holidays? And how are you affording to do all of this? And the thing is, we spend and invest money based on our values as well. So I learn about money. I watch my money very closely. I log into my internet banking every single morning. I spend 10 minutes with it. I look at the day before. I make sure that I've spent all my money in congruence with my values. If not, I adjust that behavior. I watch our metrics every month. I do our profit and loss statement. I work out everything as a percentage and make sure that they're on my metrics. So I know 10% of my money is spent on marketing, 20% on team, 20% is my income. Like I've got all of my metrics. And if it's over or under, it gets red light, green light. And if not, I adjust that. And that means I'm always running a profitable, healthy business, rather than getting to Baz time and going, what, that's my tax bill? Oh no, because I once owed the tax office, what did I owe them? 80 something thousand dollars, and it took me 3 years to pay back. And it was a surprise to me. And now I look at it, I mean, it was 14 years ago, but now I look at it and I go, really, Tina, that was a surprise? Like, how stupid were you? But the thing is, I didn't know. I didn't understand how it all worked, and it crept up on me. So knowledge is power. And I think as business owners, one, we can't say we're not good with money. It's our responsibility to learn and grow with that. And two, we can't say that we don't like marketing. There's another thing that I talk to people about a lot, is going, if you won't get your face on video, you're missing out on so much business. Like you've got to know your marketing and know your money.
All right, let's tell us quickly about that, the marketing side of things. We've done the money. I think that was fantastic. So thank you so much for sharing that. You did share before, you can either difference between like paid media and earned media, or you can spend money, or you can actually invest in profile. So yeah, talk to us a bit about how you've been able to grow your businesses now, this new kind of way of marketing with regards to social media. Personal brand.
Yeah, so
how was that done for you?
I do a lot of content. So I grow my businesses through content marketing, which look, isn't the easiest way to do it, but I do think it's the most beneficial way to do it. So I would have, to a lot of people, appeared from nowhere in the business that I have now. But because I do the right marketing at the right time, and I put a lot of time and effort into it, it lands with my perfect clients. So I don't, like vanity metrics don't mean anything. How many followers you have on social media don't mean anything if they're not the right amount of followers. So Kajabi, which is the software that I use for my website and my online programs, when I hit $1 million, they have like these hero levels, and I hit their $1 million hero level, and they rang me because they were like, you are our most unfamous $1 million level person. Like usually when you hit $1 million, you've got tens and tens of thousands of followers, and you're like semi-celebrity entrepreneur sort of style. Whereas I'm very stealth. So I don't want to be known by anybody except the people that I am right for. So I'm really specific with how I promote, what I share, because I only want to spend my time with the people that are the perfect clients for me. So I do a lot of social media. I test and measure everything so that I know that when I spend my time, it's the things that are bringing the most bang for my buck, even things that I don't enjoy. And this is what I think is a really interesting thing for people to know, is if you look at me on social media, I look like I do enjoy doing reels. Let me tell you, oh my God, you feel like such a moron. There's some moments where I go, how am I like a pretty qualified, serious businesswoman with a lot of experience, and my job is to communicate the pain point, the objections, the messages in like 15 seconds, or I don't have people's attention. How do you do that in 15 seconds? You entertain. And so I do it because it works. And the thing is, when we want to build our business, you have to do what works. It doesn't really matter if you love it or not. If you want the result, you have to do the thing that's going to get you that result. And at the moment, for my style of business, it's TikTok and Instagram Reels. And so I do it because that's what's going to get the results. And it changes all the time. I mean, 3 years ago, there was no such thing. So we've got to always stay on top of it and go, what's getting results? Test and measure, be open to trying. I know when Reels came out, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not dancing. I'm not pointing. Like, this is not happening. And then, yeah, I did one and we got an influx of customers. I'm like, okay, here I go.
That's great, but it's because you're testing and measuring things and you're looking at the numbers, you know what works, and you just double down and do more of that.
Yeah, definitely.
Brilliant. So if you're a female who's working with Kajabi, creating courses, then you should definitely check out Tina's stuff. Tina, what's your website if people want to follow you?
TinaTower.com, or you can find me on Instagram as well, is where I'm mostly at.
Tina Tower, awesome. And if you're not a female, or you're not a Kajabi person or a course creator, you're everyone else, what would your advice be to them in terms of their education?
I think try different things until you find what works. So for me, nothing ever has paralleled Blueprint. But in saying that, I have done many different things and I've always got something out of it. So I do a lot of sprints. I do a lot of like 12-week programs that I can get with it. I read a business book every week so that I can get something out of that and implement that in there. And I know you, Dale, are such a big learner as well. But yeah, I think it's our responsibility, if we want to grow and we want to do better, to find ways to do that. And growth isn't for everyone, and that's totally okay. But you're here on this call because you want to grow, because there's like that whisper in your heart going, I know I can do more. I know I'm capable of bigger. I know I want to create something amazing. So if that's like the dream for you, jump in, because it is like you've got nothing to lose. It's really everything to gain. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Dale's number one fan.
Thank you. What I'd love for everyone to do is to type into the chat what has been one or maybe two of the biggest takeaways for you from this presentation. There were lots, in there, and I'd love to just read a few of them out. So energy was shared by Peter. Thank you for that. Yeah, having good energy is definitely important, in business. Love Tina's energy. Passion, that's great. Other takeaways, go ahead and type it in. I need to think bigger in my business. Build your business to sell from the start. Education, getting to know your metrics as well. Know and love your marketing and money. Make the business focused and niche. Yep, beautiful. Beware of franchising. Disconnection and time with our family, and the beautiful dolphin story. Take time out. Beautiful relationship with money, and more coming in there as well. Fantastic, Tina. Thank you so much for joining us. We really, really appreciate it. And I just want to say congratulations to everyone for being here and investing in yourself. However, this is just really the start of your journey for many of you. And if you really want to take things seriously and go to that next level, you need to be part of some education program. Otherwise, you could spend 10 years or 15 years just fumbling around in the dark trying to get to where you want to go. The shortest distance between where you are now and where you want to be is education. I learned that 20 something years ago and just learned. And that's what's helped me to achieve the success that I have today. And then what I basically did is I took everything and put it in one program, and that was Business Blueprint. So you've really got a choice. If you want, you can try and do things on your own through the method commonly known as trial and error, or you can get a coach, invest in a program. And based on what Tina said, there is no better program out there for people that want to grow their business than Business Blueprint. There is so much value in the program. I want to tell you all about it, but I'm not going to do that right now because we've got heaps more training still to come. But I do want you to go to this link right now. Tell us a little bit of information about you, so we can then jump on a call and have a chat and see if we're the right fit for each other. So go to businessblueprint.com/apply. And that's where you can, basically fill out a quick form, and so we can have a chat and go from there. Then we'll send you all the information about the program. There's something really for everyone, people that are just getting started, or if you already have a multi-million-dollar business and you want to grow further, then we can help you there as well. Now, we have heaps more training still to come as part of the Business Blueprint Summit. And we're going to be back again tomorrow, where I and a whole hour of power around technology. And then we have systems, we have people, and we have money. So we have 4 more awesome sessions still to come. And then we have even more superstar interviews. Tomorrow's interview is going to be with Brian Chapman, how he went from $0 to $16 million in e-commerce sales. He'll be sharing with you his secrets to success. And then we have Angela, Colin Frager, and Tegan still to come as well. So hopefully all the dates are now in your diary. If they are, awesome. If they're not, go to businessblueprint.com/summit and then just fill in your details there. And on the very next screen, you can click a button and it will pop all of the details into your diary. Time for us to wrap up, and we'll see you again tomorrow. But just for the final time, I want to say a huge thank you to Tina Tower for joining us. Let's give Tina a big round of applause, everybody. Thank you so much. Thanks, Tina. Pointing. I got to get into the reels myself. It's something that I was
we'll create some together, Jael.
Reels?
It's so much fun. We can do it.
All right. You've given me the encouragement to say, you know what? If it works, then you got to do what works. So thank you for the encouragement there. Nice work, everyone. Thanks for being here. We look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. We've got heaps more great content still to come. So just a little bit each day is going to make a massive difference. So all you got to do is show up, and we'll continue the journey. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Tina. See you again tomorrow. Bye.